the way she did her doing this awkward song and dance or whatever, I'm like, they really do nail how awkward and annoying kids are, where it's like, hey, look at this, and you're just like doing a pencil dive into a pool. It's like, cool, you did that 350 times.
Welcome to the new Bob's Credits series, my favorite episode, where we have a very special guest join us to discuss their absolute favorite episode of Bob's Burgers. There is an asterisk on that one. We will get to that. We're going to chat a bit about this episode, and then together, using a series of qualifications that Skylar and I and some of our patrons developed, we're all going to decide if that episode is in fact a top-tier Bob's Burgers episode. So let me get right into it and introduce our guest, Kelly Blackheart, from the wonderful podcast Locked and Probably Loaded with DJ and Kelly. It's one of my favorites. Kelly, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me again.
Again, that's where the asterisk comes in. We have recorded an entire episode that any person out there who's ever recorded a podcast, the absolute nightmare is that you're going to lose everything you sat down and recorded. It always happens at some point. That happened to us with our first episode.
I mean, it really was just me selfishly wanting to come on twice. I've been asking my friends to have me on their podcast as a guest, so here we are.
Well, tell us what episode you chose first, and then we'll get into the episode you chose this time around.
So yeah, my top episode is OT, the outside toilet, and it's where Gene finds a talking toilet in the woods and wants to take care of it. And yes, so it felt painful to think about a second favorite episode, but there are so many good ones to choose from. So, what can you do?
But
gotta spread the love.
Is it top tier? We're gonna have to find out. Okay, so Kelly, tell us about your history with Bob's Burgers.
So when I initially started or attempted to watch it, I think it was around the time it came out, and I watched a few episodes and I was like, I don't know about this. I also wasn't super into animated shows at that point. And then I kind of came back to it naturally maybe a year or two later and gave it another try from the same spot, from the pilot, and all of a sudden it clicked for me. And I think I was mentioning to you guys, that is so much of my brain, where if there's something that people love and I try it and I don't like it, or it's not for me the moment I try it, I just put it back on a list and I go, you revisit this when your brain's in a different spot. So there are certain times where I can't watch drama, or I can only watch a certain genre because my attention span's in a bad spot. I do that. And so Bob's was one of those, and I'm obviously thrilled that I came back to it because it is a perfect show.
And it was OT, the outside toilet, that you were officially on board. Is that right?
I mean, I was on board before that, but that episode just has so many back-to-back jokes that it feels like one of those that you could easily show somebody who had never seen it before, and they understand the world, they understand the humor. The jokes are so true to the characters that it's a good crash course, I feel like.
I love you.
Please repeat command.
I love you.
You would like to vomit?
No, I love you.
Seat up for vomit.
No, I love you.
Vomit now.
I love you.
Vomit.
I love you.
Vomit now. Vomit now.
Stop saying that.
Vomit now.
Damn fool.
Okay, this is just sad.
I know.
And what is it about this week's episode that you love?
So this is another Gene-centric episode, which Gene is I love all the characters, but Gene has a special place in my heart. And so Gene-centric episodes tend to be my favorites. But what's interesting about this one is that it actually has a couple of elements that I generally don't like. Not necessarily just in this show, but in other shows, like a flashback format and musical. Those are the ones that I tend to skip or not remember as much. But this one just hits. It's so good.
Why don't you tell us which episode you picked for this asterisk episode?
So this is the season 5 premiere, Work Hard or Die Tryin', girl.
I'm glad we had you say it because I mess it up every single time I say it.
I was writing the synopsis last night and I wrote the title, and I'm dyslexic, and it was girl, die hard, trying now. Max is like, that's not it.
For me in my life, it's just girl, die.
It's like that Gossip Girl meme.
What? Which
Oh yeah,
one?
when they like delete
Where
the
they-
words.
Which
Oh,
Yeah, where
one?
they like delete
Where
the
they-
words. Yeah, where they shuffle the words around, the gossip, and it's like, go piss, girl.
Something to note about this episode is that I actually saw this before I ever saw Die Hard the movie, and it was still funny before I saw Die Hard, but then understanding I haven't seen Working Girl, so
I
that's
haven't
the
either.
next.
You
Okay.
haven't, Max?
No, I haven't.
But I thought that was the movie that made you dream big and figure out what you wanted to do with your life, or whatever you said. And you chose this?
No, that was Paddington, actually. You know that.
Okay, to
But
drop
yeah,
everyone into the episode, we are going to recommend that if you're watching / listening to this, that maybe you watch the episode before tuning in. But if not, just to give us some context, here's the title and here's the synopsis. Work hard or try...
Try.
Go piss, girl.
Work hard or die.
Work
girl.
hard or try dying is also a good one.
Yeah.
Work hard or die trying girl. When Jean's Die Hard is passed over for Courtney's Working Girl for Wagstaff's fall musical, Louise hatches a plan to put on Jean's guerrilla-style competing performance in the downstairs boiler room. The night doesn't go well for anyone. Jean fires his whole cast and turns his work into a one Jean play, while Courtney loses her audience to the allure of Jean's exclusive ticket. And for poor Miss LeBon's, Carly Simon still hasn't shown up. When the night crumbles and the whole crew ends up in Mr. Fran's office, Jean and Courtney decide to join forces to produce Work Hard or Die Trying Girl. It's a great success.
Okay, Kelly, your absolute favorite part of this episode, if you have one ready to go.
Ooh, favorite part is hard. Something that I related to deeply was when they're promising that Carly Simon's going to show up to the performance. When I was in elementary school, I was in the same school as a kid whose dad was one of the head coaches of the Washington Redskins at the time. And he was running for student council and promised that if he won, his dad would come in and do a talk. His dad never showed up. He did win. We got nothing we were promised. So this actually felt like a deep cut watching it again. I thought about that kid.
I was really hoping it was going to be Carly Simon, so now I'm let down.
He's like, it's not the coach of the Redskins, but it's Carly Simon. Yeah, but some of my favorite parts are like, Gene's act outs in his one place where there's going to be a fight scene and he's doing the act out. I mean, Linda shushing, like telling everybody they're jealous every time they're shushing her during the performances. And I think I had mentioned previously, like, I'm not really into the precocious child characters, but like, this really shows how much of a hustler Louise is. Like, she's always got a scheme to make money. She's not necessarily trying to create trouble. It's just she's a hustler. She's got a side gig always. And, I thought that was really funny.
And she did not learn it from Bob. Like, Max and I often discuss this on our podcast. Like, I feel like Bob is a really good chef, but he's a horrible businessman. They sell those burgers for $5 in 2024.
No, yeah, that thing's got to be $19, especially if you live in Los Angeles.
At this point, he's basically running a mattress firm, and it's a money laundering scheme because he can't possibly be selling that many burgers.
Yes. Wait, so you said that the first time you watched it, you hadn't seen Die Hard or Working Girl, but did the episode still work for you the first time you saw it?
Yeah, it just works better when you like kind of know I'm sure it would work even more if I saw Working Girl because of your understanding the jokes from the musical, but also he really looked like Bruce Willis a little bit in those. It was funny because the songs are so simplified to the plot, and that's the joke, right? And so I can understand why people who haven't seen that probably wouldn't favor this episode because they are big laughs. Like,
I haven't seen Die Hard in so many years. I remember nothing except like, is it a Christmas movie or not? And I remember like a tall building. But I think you make a good point, like, because the songs are so reduced, like even if you haven't seen either of the films, like I'm like, yeah, I get these jokes. I'm entertained.
Yeah, and also you like I know Working Girl enough that I know like the actors from the movie and like what they looked like in the movie, so that works too. Like you just the shoulder pads, the big hair, you know it's an era.
Yeah, that's all I gathered from the movie is that they wear business suits with shoulder
they're working
pads.
girls.
Yeah, can we all agree
Wait,
to go watch Working Girl at some point before we watch this episode another time?
Yes.
I feel like you're going to be repeating yourself, but it is so rare to find someone whose favorite character is Jean. I see people on Reddit saying that they skip Jean episodes, so I want to know, like, what is it about Jean?
I mean, that truly shocks me, because I love him because I love a big, dumb idiot, but he's kind, and he's not really an idiot. He's so unique, and he marches to the beat of his own drum, and he's so secure in himself. And that's part of, I mean, it's different than like Family Guy or The Simpsons or something like that. This family really loves each other, and the siblings are better together, and the family is better together, which is not normally the dynamic that we get. And so it's hard to pick a favorite because they all complement each other so well, but there's something I just don't gel with on the precocious kid that always has the evil plan. I just see myself more in the lovable, dumb idiot, you know?
Like, as we're talking about Jean and his love for, like, certain things, I just feel myself growing closer and closer to him. He's just, like, so lovable.
Yeah. He's so pure, too. Like, there's almost nothing that he does that is to spite anybody. It's like, if he messes up, it's truly because he was in his own world, but you don't see a whole, I mean, this episode, he's like a little bit mean to Courtney, and I'm like, that's not Gene, you know?
That's not my boy.
That's not my boy. He's so much nicer than that.
I love their relationship,
Although-
by the way. Like,
Yeah.
I love that
Courtney?
they kind of had a thing, and then they didn't, and then like, but they're always friends. Like, she's annoying. They all agree in this episode that she's annoying. Everyone says it.
I am not annoying.
Yeah, that's fair. But they're friends, you know, and that's because Gene's got a big heart, and he doesn't judge.
And he'll always put the art above everything, you know?
Even if that means firing your entire cast.
I say we jump in to this ultimate, is this episode a top tier Bob's Burgers episode test?
Yeah. And like I said, this episode is going to have to hit 10 of these. And
10
if
yeses.
10 yeses. If it hits 9, it can be argued into the top tier, probably by Kelly. Kelly will probably come at it pretty hard, but let's see if we even have to deal with that. Okay, first question is, does this episode make you feel all warm and fuzzy inside?
Yeah, 100%. This episode had me tearing up at the end because they all like came together to make a new musical where everybody was included and rewrite that. Like, I think this episode had a lot of heart for sure.
Agreed. I think why we wrote this question, normally it's just the family coming together back in the living room or the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
But this felt so epic, and like the whole school coming together. Plus, you have all the Wagstaff people you love. You have Andy and Ollie, Rudy, Jimmy Jr. and Tina are some of my favorite parts in this episode.
Yeah.
And so it gives you like the big feels. But I think one of the reasons why the feels work in Bob's Burgers is because it's weird and funny enough. Like, if it's going to be earnest, it's not like mushy. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Yep.
Yeah, I'm gonna say yes too, because it's not like this like big like plight before Christmas type, you know, like warm and fuzzy, but it's like I love the Wagstaff students and their group of friends when they all come together to do something, and they all support each other. It's just like, it's like you said, the family in this sitcom likes each other, and so do like the friends, and like everyone just comes together in this episode, and I love it.
They just do well when the whole ensemble is together. They really make it work.
And one thing like that I love about it too is that like they're all different ages, and that you so rarely get like these different ages of friends, and these siblings are all different ages that work well together and like to spend time together. It's great.
Yeah, and I normally think it's so common for the oldest sibling to be so mean to the youngest siblings. And if anyone's being mean to anyone, it's probably Louise to Tina, but it kind of like goes over her head. And it makes for just like a much fresher dynamic between siblings.
Okay, so that is a pass. The next question is, does this bypass rewatchability fatigue? Can you watch it over and over again and not get tired of it? Because there are some episodes you can, there are some that you just kind of like to space out a bit.
I have personally watched it 3 times in the last couple of days. And I saw somebody on Reddit who said that this is one of 2 episodes that they watch for hours on end on repeat. So I'm going to go with that person and say, yeah, you can rewatch it.
Yeah, it's rewatchable. Even if it's just in the background, the music is so good all throughout it.
Yeah, I'm a little more hesitant to say that about this episode, but I'm going to let it pass. Just because I typically, like Kelly said earlier, have a harder time with like big musical episodes. As rewatchable ones, I prefer the ones with like short numbers and stuff like that. But yeah, it works for me. Okay, this isn't a yes or no question, but how is the JPM, which is the jokes per minute, in this episode?
This one is not as heavy jokes per minute, I feel like, as some of the other ones. But I still think it's very balanced. And like I said, I didn't understand some of the jokes per minute until I saw Die Hard. So now I need to see Working Girl as well, because we know for a fact that Bob's does so many references to either voice actors that are in certain episodes and stuff like that. So sometimes the jokes are there. You just don't know that they're jokes. So I would say it's, what is it on a scale of 1 to 10? I'm giving this a 6.
Passer.
Oh, I would pass it on jokes per minute. I still think it's... No, I'm going to fail it on jokes per minute. It's not a heavy jokes per minute episode.
It isn't. But, and they also cut out the opening credits, which they do when they need to save time. Because when you have these big musical numbers, you have to save like a lot of page space. I can't answer this. I haven't seen either movies. Although I did laugh out loud multiple times, but it's so fun that we did OT the Outside Toilet before, because we were running through all of the jokes, and that's an episode where you rewatch it and you rediscover like 5 jokes. So compared to that, absolutely not. But I'm going to pass it on to Max.
I'm going to say it doesn't pass just because, and this is all context, but because we did one episode with OT the Outside Toilet, like you said, that one is just like joke, and this is a much different beast.
Right.
So
I'm gonna keep track of these.
I am keeping track. Yeah.
God bless you.
I would love to get to the end of it, and we were like, so
that would
yes,
be so us.
good.
We lost that footage.
Next up is each character doing what that character does best.
Yeah, pass. 1,000% pass.
Yeah.
Luis is running a business. Tina is lusting over a boy. Gene is doing a one-man show. Andy and Ollie are holding hands even though they're FBI agents.
What do they say? What's the line? They're like, in this version we do.
Yeah, it's like FBI agents don't hold hands. Well, these ones do.
Andy and Ollie, FBI agents don't hold hands.
These ones do. Yeah, and they sleep in the same bed.
It's so good. Hold on, I have to pull up my notes because there is a Tina line. When Courtney comes up to Jean in the cafeteria and Louise is like, oh great, she wants to get back together with you. Courtney starts talking about something they did in the past, and Tina's like,
He let me read it when we were dating.
That's it, Courtney. Just remember the good times.
she's so muted but so funny in this episode.
Yeah, she has so many just throwaway under her breath lines that are so funny.
And then, of course, there's Linda. She does not have that much screen time in this, but she is so Linda, standing outside of Wagstaff. And what is she singing about? Going to see her children's musicals. It's so her.
Yeah.
Musical, time to watch your sister in a musical.
And you're jealous when people are shushing is that is such an encapsulation of Linda's personality. You're just jealous.
Okay, so that one gets a pass. The next question is, was the family together enough?
Yeah. I mean, the kids certainly were, and they do a lot of this together, even though Tina was, she betrayed them by doing the other show. But it's not like one where they're all hanging out together, but there is a lot of togetherness in this. I don't know. I'll defer to you guys on this one because you're the family unit experts.
I think they were. A lot of the times you get like a separate, the kids are off doing one thing and the parents are doing another thing. But this is all kind of like, there's like one main story and it doesn't have another, like a B story or anything. And the parents are present for this musical throughout the whole,
Right.
So I'd say they're together enough in this episode.
It's also just such a parental children dynamic. They're like in the principal-esque office at the beginning because their children are in trouble. You're going to see your child's show. Like, it's very common family structures, which is fantastic.
This is looking pretty good so far. Okay, the next question is, do the end credits give you that serotonin surge?
1000%. These end credits are phenomenal. Like, I wasn't even thinking about the end credits when I picked this one, and I was like, oh, they're going to be so pleased. I mean, shoulder pads and Carly Simon in the end credits.
It's incredible. And I also want to point out that, like, the animation, the kids are all, like, clapping over their heads like kids would do on, like, a school musical, and they're all, like, so awkward.
Yes.
Like, they're all off. And
no rhythm. Yes, they nailed it. Like,
it's so
that
well
was actually
done.
something I was going to mention earlier about Courtney. I know it was just Jean's memory of what she did, but the way she did her doing this awkward song and dance or whatever, I'm like, they really do nail how awkward and annoying kids are, where it's like, hey, look at this, and you're just like doing a pencil dive into a pool. It's like, cool, you did that 350 times. It's still cool, and it always will be, but just don't make me watch it again. So like that really hit for me because I was like, yeah, they are fucking little weirdos like that.
The detail of Courtney sucking on her necklace just is a rush of nostalgia for me. Like, I don't know a specific kid that did that in my class, but I can name 4 girls that would do that. It's like such a specific detail that takes me back to my childhood.
Yeah. I was busy using paper clips as retainers, but, to each their own.
We're also going to have you rate those credits on a scale of 1 to 10, Kelly, because Skylar and I obviously both did when we did that episode on our podcast. I'm going to let you take this one first.
I'm going to give it a 10.
I am going to join you on that 10.
They're at 10,000. These are, I think, these are up there with the best credits ever.
Correct.
Yeah, I think I meant to go look back and listen to it, but I think we gave these a 10. I can't imagine we didn't, Skylar.
We definitely did. Part of that is because I misunderstood you and thought they got Carly Simon to voice Carly Simon.
I think
Do you
that
remember
she
that?
is in the credits.
It is Carly
in the
Simon.
Song credits. It is her.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay, then 10,000 million.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah, Miss LeBons would have loved these end credits.
Her t-shirt, this is one of the best LeBons episodes too.
But what was her t-shirt? You're still so vain tour?
Yeah.
Next question is the quintessential weird factor of Bob's Burgers present?
Yeah, 1,000%. Doing the show underground in a boiler room, and the idea that all of these parents who were going to see their kids in another show are now going to pay $5 to go see somebody else's Die Hard musical that's a one-man show, and then they end up blending it. I mean, yeah, it's weird as hell. It's so weird, but I love it.
And
Pass.
seeing these kids in the makeup, the 80s makeup and hair, and Tina, just watching Tina in that principal's office with her Sigourney Weaver haircut and like her little barrette, it's so good.
Yeah, they're doing a blend of Die Hard and Working Girl as a musical. It doesn't get weirder than that.
The
Definitely
Sassy
passes.
Sister Show to Die Hard.
Yeah.
You're right, Jean. It is the Sassy Sister Show.
Okay, next question is, would you recommend this specific episode to a friend who has never seen the show?
Yes, I would. I would, especially if they knew Die Hard. This wouldn't be the first episode I would show them if I didn't know that they were Die Hard or Working Girl fans. Just because, like I said, the structure of the episode is generally something that I don't like. And so I know how easily that can become a miss for somebody. And because Bob's is not typically, like, they have their flashback episodes and they have their musical episodes, but that is not necessarily the core of, you know, the collection. I wouldn't say this was the one to start somebody in, but if they had seen a couple of episodes, I would go, oh, this one's really good too.
I don't think I would. I would recommend it eventually, but I think for someone who's never seen the show, there's probably a good chunk of episodes that I would recommend first before they got into this one. Unless I happen, like you said, unless I happen to know they were a huge Die Hard or Working Girl fan. Yeah, I don't know anyone who's a huge Working Girl fan. I don't know.
By the end of this weekend, all three of us will be those people.
Yeah, I can't wait till we come back and we're just like, we are such
Let's hit the
idiots.
group text with where it's streaming as soon as we finish this.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm with you. Y'all have convinced me. I also think, sorry, Kelly, I think I recommend more Tina protagonist episodes because I relate to her so much. Also, I always recommend holiday episodes. Everyone can relate to, like, holidays being more difficult because family exists and trying to get through it.
That's a great point because Gene, like you said, you rarely meet somebody who thinks Gene is their favorite. So by just odds alone, you're probably better off not starting with a Gene episode, although that's my litmus test for friendship. So I might have to do it just to see if I accept these losers into my life. But other than that, you're right. Tina is a strong choice.
All right. Next question is, will this episode cure your seasonal depression? And by seasonal, I mean year-round.
Asterisk.
What season is every day called? You know, the tunes could take you out of a little funk, but this one's not curing. Not the kind of depression that I bought. I got extra strength.
Most Bob's Burgers, it helps a little bit, but I don't know if this one is just doing more than my Lexapro is.
I could see if I was really down how this could annoy me a little.
So it makes it worse. I see.
So it makes it worse.
This episode turns you into one of the terrorists from Die Hard.
An episode like Amelia, The Plate Before Christmas, that could really change my perspective on a day. I feel like I'm with y'all. Do you think this question is unfair, Max?
It could be, and we could maybe tweak these questions as we go through this series, but for now, it's sticking.
I think it was only unfair in the context of this episode that has "die" in the title.
Also, it has work hard, which depresses me too.
Right, which is a reason that we're depressed.
Right. If you took the humor away, does the plot hold its own?
No, I don't. I mean, the humor obviously is the train that we're all on, right? Like the suspension of disbelief that that the kids are going to be able to be the ones who choose the music. Like, I grew up I did choir and all that stuff, but my brother was a musical theater guy, and my high school had like one of the best musical theater departments in the country, and I know how intense that stuff is. Like, nobody's letting the kids take that over. And, you know, obviously kids rewriting a musical and all that stuff. There's a lot of suspension of disbelief here. So I think the humor is the gag that gets us to leap logic in all those places.
Yeah, that's interesting. So, like, the humor is the support of the episode.
Right.
I'm like, this is fascinating. I'm into this question, Max.
Yeah, and I was going to say yes, but you convinced me no.
Oh, no. What have I done?
Same.
Yeah. Oh, this is your episode.
To my little babies.
Okay, next question is, did the episode leave you wanting more? Would you be excited for a part 2 of this episode?
Well, what I'm actually excited about is that I found out that there's a place in Portland, a theater in Portland, that every year does a Die Hard the Musical show based on this. And I would definitely see that as a part 2.
Wait, Portland is so close to us.
I know.
Is amazing. This is
what
great
are you guys
news.
doing for Christmas?
Okay.
Yeah.
We're road tripping to Die Hard the Musical.
Yeah, I want to go see it badly. But yeah, I would say that if a theater is doing the musical, then doesn't everybody want more of this episode in a part 2?
It's true. Those credits cut off way too soon. I wanted like a full extra minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see there being like a them doing the full musical and just kind of like seeing how it went, because I would like to see a little bit more. That last song is so good.
It's so good.
And I just want to see what the rest of the musical was like. What a disaster it was.
Like,
See, he's in. It's a pass.
We got 2 more questions. We know the answer to this one. Was the song from the episode stuck in your head afterwards?
Yeah.
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah, it's.
Yes.
I feel like it's
Correct.
How do you not have it stuck in your head? Is the question.
And I want to just like for the rest of the day.
Okay, and the final question is: does at least part of the episode take place in the restaurant? That's a no. They don't go in the restaurant at all in this episode.
Not the opening, not the credits.
Yeah, we don't see that. This is like one of those rare ones where there's not even a scene in the restaurant.
Although Wagstaff
guess
is
not.
like second to the restaurant, I would argue.
Yeah, I'm gonna say no to that.
Just based on factual truth.
Wow,
Yeah.
the judges are taking this very seriously.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going through the numbers right now, and it looks like we have 8 yeses. So that means that Work Hard or Die Trying Girl is not a top tier Bob's Burgers episode. How do we feel about that?
Well, I think everybody's wrong. I'm just kidding. I think if it's a Gene centric episode, I think it would be hard to be in the top ones because they just aren't the heavily favored ones. But if you are a Gene person, this is absolutely one of the best Gene episodes. So your definition of success is different than mine. All right.
Just like Gene. Okay, to be fair though, if we had our shit together last week and we ran OT, the outside toilet, through this, I think it would pass. There's scenes in the restaurant, might cure your seasonal depression. What else did we say no to? You would definitely recommend it to a friend.
I think we'll
Tons
have
of jokes
Kelly,
per minute.
Yeah, we'll have
Jokes
you
per
back
minute.
on at some point to like redo that one because it's such a good episode and because you didn't get to do your absolutely favorite one. So we'll do that down the road. But
Perfect.
for now, it just didn't pass the test here. It doesn't mean it's a bad episode of Bob's. It doesn't mean it's a bad episode of TV because Bob's is such a stellar show, but it doesn't fit in the top tier. And
This is depressing me.
Now
It
I'm
is
gonna
the-
try dying, girl.
and I see people already yelling at me in the comments. I can predict it. But hey, that's the
Max,
test.
What do you mean by top tier episode? I think when we were like developing this, it's like top 5 episodes. Top
Yeah.
10 situation.
I say top 5.
Yeah, and like the thing is, there's hundreds.
There's so many episodes.
Yeah.
Most of them
That's
can't
true.
be top 5. So
Yeah.
Exactly.
it's fine.
This is just going to be a very, very sad podcast at this
And
point.
also, I think your questions are good because when after we did OT, I was like looking up what people said about it on Reddit, and there's not a whole lot of conversation about that. And when I looked up like the best episodes of Bob's Burgers, it wasn't on any of those lists, and that blew my mind because it is so joke heavy that it just. And so many of my favorite bits of all time have come from that show or from that episode, so much so that I thought they were all different episodes. And then when I rewatch it, a couple years later, I'm like, well, everything's in here? Like, have I seen any other episodes or is just my entire Bob's Burgers fandom in this one episode?
All right.
Then
So we
kill
did
him.
it. Kelly, I was going to give you a chance to tell everyone where they can follow you, find you.
I'm on social media at Kelly Blackheart, pretty much on everything or some variation of that. And my podcast, you can check it out. It's called Locked and Probably Loaded with DJ Qualls. He's very funny, very smart, very kind, good dude. Come get to know us. And that's at Loaded Pod.
And I love your podcast so much, and I've told you this before off camera, but like I genuinely love it. A lot of times you have a friend who says, come listen to my podcast or like come support me, and like you listen and you're like, this is great. I listen to every episode. I text you like a live stream as I'm listening to it, responding to things you guys are talking about. I think everyone would enjoy the podcast, so I hope everyone will go check it out.
You guys get really deep about topics that I'm so interested in. You've talked about friend breakups, like every topic you talk about, I'm like, I really need to reach out to Kelly because I love this conversation so much. But then there's a lot of behind the scenes industry stuff, which is
There's also
so fascinating.
and the
When
jokes
Max
per
says
jokes
he's
per minute.
obsessed- Oh,
Jokes,
firing.
Pass
jokes
or
per
fail?
minute. Yeah, that's a pass.
Pass. Double pass.
Thank you so much for coming and doing this with us. Again, you will be back, whether you like it or not, to do OT at some point. But we
Heck
will
yeah.
be back very soon with another one of these, with an all-new guest and another episode to see if it passes the top-tier Bob's Burgers episode test. And until then, we'll see you next time.
Bye, girl.
Bye, girl. Bye, girl.
Justice
Work
for
hard.
Gene. Thanks, guys.
Don't work hard.
Oh no, I'm about to go jump in the pool right now.